My name is Jason Jennings. I'm president, and our company is Jennings Premium Meats. We're in New Franklin, Missouri. Our business started in 1954. My grandfather and an uncle started here as doing custom slaughter and processing. They did a small amount of retail, but until about 1969, when my father came back into the business, was when we really started to do more retail. So my father came back in 1969. We expanded the business in 1982. We bought a building next door to us and expanded our retail into that space, and still did the slaughter. Through the 80s, the slaughter and processing was a really big part of our business. And then in 1989, I graduated from the university with a degree in food science. And at that time, my dad had purchased a smokehouse, a vacuum packaging machine, a tumbler, and wanted to get into more further processed items, things to sell in our retail shop. And that's kind of what my interest was in from the university with my degree and everything. So I came back and helped him get that started. And then in 1992, we purchased another 3 buildings that were next to us and expanded into those for further processing and added some smokehouses and some packaging and some of those sorts of things. In 1993, we had a fire and destroyed the entire site and spent all of 1993 rebuilding in the site that we're in now and doing what we're still doing. We slaughtered, we processed, and we also did further processing as well. At that time, we mostly made hams and that sort of stuff in our further processing. My uncle retired in 2006. And at that time, we stopped the slaughter processing part of our business, and we just focused on the retail and the further processing. So our business is a C Corp, and we've been structured that way since the mid 70s. My father and my uncle structured it that way back when. Right now we're set up, we really have 2 divisions. One is retail, and the other would be our further processing. We do have a manager that manages the entire retail portion of our business for us. And then I manage the further processing part of the business and take care of all the administrative stuff, as well as deal with USDA and those types of things. When I started working here back in 1989, as a 23 or 4-year-old person, my dad and my uncle never really treated me as just an employee, even though I was just an employee at that time, no different than anybody else in the business. They didn't treat me that way all the time. I mean, there were days when they did, obviously, when I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do or whatever it might be. But, they listened to my ideas. They listened to the things that I thought we might ought to try, or things that we wanted to try or should try. And they let me try things. They weren't all good ideas, and they didn't all work, but they never held me back from trying some ideas or trying to think of things that might help the business. It wasn't just, no, you got to come in, we're slaughtering beef today and we're going to cut beef tomorrow and we're killing hogs on Monday or whatever it might be. It was never just, come in and get that work done and then let's get out of here and do that. So they always gave me opportunities to kind of have my ideas and try to grow the business. And I always felt like I was part of that. After I'd been here for a time, then I was actually bought into the business and was part of more of the management of it, if you will. My wife and I own 100% of the company now. Our sales volume is about 5.5 million, and that's divided about, in a typical year, about 25% in retail, and the other 75% would be in our further processing wholesale part of our business. Last year with COVID, those numbers were quite a bit different. Our retail volume, on a dollar perspective, doubled last year from what it had been previously. Our wholesale side was down some just because the nature of where a lot of the products went that we produce, those places were closed. So last year was different, but on a normal year, it's about 25-75. So in a retail unit, we do the basic fresh meat retail. We have about 48 feet of fresh service retail that we do, where a person can come in, see something in the case, pick it out. We fill orders that way. They can come in and tell us if they want steaks cut a certain way or anything like that. We also have about 60 feet of frozen cases that we do, where we go ahead and package meats, and then people can come in and pick out those things. And then we also offer specialty items like sausages that we make, bacon, smoked turkeys, hams, and all those sorts of things in that part of our business. It's your standard retail type business that does red meat retail, and it's fresh red meat retail for the most part. So we're here in New Franklin. It's about 30 miles west of Columbia, but we service a lot of business or a lot of customers out of Columbia. And then we go a lot over into the Marshall area, which is about 30 or 45 miles west of us. So it's a pretty good diameter of, if you drew a circle around New Franklin, of people that are coming and visiting our store. Our vending machine came about, a friend of mine up in outside Minneapolis has one. And he runs a retail shop similar to ours. I had talked with him over the years about it, just kind of his experience with it, and he'd been pretty pleased with it. We got in contact with the company and we decided to go ahead and buy one as well. It's an interesting thing. It allows us to sell products 24 hours a day, where our store is only open until 5 in the evening. And our machine basically is two parts. There's a part that it's basically, if you think of it, it looks like two large refrigerators with glass doors. One side, we've got a lot of snack food items in it. We got bulk pack snack sticks. We've got individual boxes of snack sticks, and then we've got summer sausage and those types of things in it. The other side, we have bacon and brats and ground beef and some things like that. We also have eggs in it, which people get a kick out of seeing it dispense eggs without breaking them. Bacon and our snack sticks. That's the two biggest items that we sell out of it. As far as the sales go, it's been okay. It hasn't generated as much as what we might like. It does pretty well. It's a novelty for us as much as it is anything. From a marketing perspective, it's been very good because we did get quite a little bit of marketing out of it when we first put it in, especially. I mean, people were intrigued by it, and there's things on Facebook and all over the internet about people taking videos of it while it was dispensing products and those sorts of things. Our further processing business is really focused on private label production. About 75% of our production in that part of our business is private label. And of that, about 90% of that is snack foods, like snack sticks and jerky, with the rest of it being smoked turkeys and hams in season. Yeah, so our private label business is nationwide. Our largest customer is based out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We have another large customer in Oklahoma. They're shipping it nationwide. So, it's an interesting thing that a small little town like New Franklin actually has product that's going all over the country. I think most people don't realize that when they see our store. They come in the front and they see the public facing part of our business, but a big part of our business is going out the back door and it's going all over the country. The way we have connected with most of those people is basically just by being in the business, and we don't have a sales force. We don't go out and sell to people and have somebody knocking on their door doing that sort of thing. It's a lot of it's by referral. It's a lot of it's by people seeing product in other locations and picking it up and finding out who's producing it and approaching us that way. It certainly doesn't generate a lot of business quickly, but over time it's allowed us to develop relationships with people slowly and for them to know us, and we can get into the business a little bit easier with them that way. The history of our company was always a service company where we did work for other people. Back when we started, we did the processing for other people with their livestock and that sort of thing. We never had people out on the road trying to sell anything. It's never been a thing we've had in our company. And we've luckily been able to keep our business busy and going and with just that model. Maybe down the road at some point we'd have to look at that and do something a little bit differently, but right now it works for us. The facility itself, we have two buildings here right now. The main building is 15,500 square feet. And in that building, then we have about 11,000 square feet that's further processing. The other 4,000 is divided between our retail shop and their production area and their coolers. And then we have a separate building that we use as a warehouse for cold storage and dry storage. It's 7,200 square feet. And then by this fall, we're adding another 8,000 square feet for production for further processing, which will be attached to our main 15,000 square foot building. Well, I think right now our greatest opportunity, is I'm kind of right in the middle of it, actually. I mean, we've seen, we did a major renovation last year, right at the beginning of the COVID thing in March. We lucked out. We got the timing right by accident, but we completely renovated all of our ovens and our smokehouses and changed all that around. And as part of that, I think that exposed us to a lot of new business on our further processing side. As part of that, then it was, it was like, okay, that part of our business is really seems to be taking off again. And so that's when we made the decision that we were going to build this addition to the plant. So I think we're kind of right in the middle of a really big opportunity for us right now. And that's how it responded was, to go ahead and make the commitment to spend the money to build the 8,000 square feet that we're going to add on. For us, it's a pretty significant expense or investment. For a lot of people, maybe it wouldn't be, but for us, it is. It's been kind of it wasn't a tough decision because it's the right thing to do, but it's a hard decision because, you're committing to a lot of different things, the financial part of it, as well as the management part of it, because we'll have to add more people and all that sort of stuff. So the management part of it will go up as well. We have around 25 employees, full-time employees right now. There are 7 employees in our retail shop, and there's 18 that are in our further processing part of our business. So my experience with adding personnel has been mixed, I think. Over the years, we've tried to find people by advertising locally and have not had good success with that. It just seemed we couldn't find the right people, and we weren't very good at, I guess, weeding out to find the right people, maybe. We've had people that last till the first break. We've had people that last 30 minutes. So that's been the difficulty of it, is just finding people. A lot of the work that we have is, admittedly, you don't need a lot of skill for it. We can train you a lot of it pretty readily to be up and doing relatively quickly, but just finding people that are willing to do it and to be here every day. So that's been the difficult part of it. So now we currently work with a staffing agency that does a lot of the finding for us. They're professionals at finding the right people for the positions that you have available. The thing I wish I had known that I should have known when I started this business was gotten more experience in managing people and how to manage your expectations of people and how to manage them on a day-to-day basis. That's one of the things that I struggle with, is doing that. I had no experience with that when I came here. I worked at a couple of large companies, but I had no one that I managed. I think what would have helped me more than anything would have been to have actually worked in another company for a period of time, and for a longer period of time, and to have actually moved up beyond just being the low man on a totem pole in a QA department or something like that, to where, you were in charge of a group of people or how to manage those people and the things that come along with that. Well, one of the interesting things I think in the meat business, or in the business, any business that does service, is I think we all like to think that we do the best service and we offer the best service. So I don't know that that's necessarily a thing that differentiates us from other folks. I think on our further processing side, it's the thing that's helped us along. I don't know that it may not even necessarily differentiate us, but I think it's one of the things that's been big for us, is we've been able to take formulations that people have given us and either produce those products to their specifications the way they want them to be and consistently do that, or to take their formulations and tweak those formulations in order to produce products that are better than what they came to us with, and then offer them packaging configurations and things like that really help push their product along, so that, when they're out trying to sell their product and present it to people, that they're presenting a good product, and a consistently good product, and it's something that's repeatable. We've been able to grow our business so that as our customers have grown, we've been able to keep up with them as well, which is one of the things that I think sometimes gets small companies is, you find somebody that has a good customer and then their business really grows, and then it outgrows you pretty quickly, and not being able to keep up with that. So, you either hamstring them and they can't sell as much as they'd like, or they, can't get as much out there as they'd like. And, either that or they move on to someone else that can take care of it for them.